That
Oh,
Tiffany.
okay.
We got too many
Wonder why.
Tiffany's.
We are live.
We are live, okay. All right. Okay, good evening. At this time, I will call to order the December 17th meeting of the Columbia Borough Planning Commission. I would also note that the agenda for this meeting is posted as required on the borough site. And also, please be advised that in addition to this meeting being live streamed, there is also audio recording being done. If I could have a roll call, please.
Mary Wickenheimer,
Here.
Tiffany Lynn,
Present.
Brad Lynn.
Here.
Justin Evans,
Here.
Marilyn Crest Hartman,
Here.
Ethan Roach.
Here.
If we could please stand for a moment of silence, please. Pledge to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I remind everybody, please turn your microphones on?
All right.
Brad's in stereo.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the Planning Commission meeting minutes for October 15th. There was a correction to these minutes, and that is why they are up for approval again.
I'll make a motion to approve those with the amendment. I second it.
I have a motion from Tiffany, a second from Marilyn. The change was I had requested that the full name of the presenter be given. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We also have in our packet the Planning Commission meeting minutes for November 19th. Do I have a motion to approve them as presented?
So moved.
Motion from Tiffany. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Marilyn. Any comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank
That was for the 19th meeting minutes.
Yes.
There's one correction. It's Josh George. Josh Jordan. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Josh,
I don't see a sign-in sheet or anything.
Yeah. I would be
Yeah,
trouble.
Josh George.
Okay, there are no zoning hearings scheduled. I did attend the zoning hearing. It was the night Thanksgiving Eve, and the project on South Fifth Street will be moving forward. In all probability, they will be back to us in February with their plans for approval. Okay. We have no Saldo applications for review at this time.
No new ones.
We have no demolition applications this evening. Are there any comments, public comments or questions? Action items. This evening we have before us the project Rivertown Estates, which is the 950 South 9th Street property. Mr. King was here last month. We were not able to move forward with approval since we had not yet received the Lancaster County Planning Commission comments. We have them now. And we also have, has everything been satisfied on your letter of November 14th. Are there any outstanding issues there?
The letter stands as is. There has not been a revised submission on this one. Again, I don't think there was anything significant, so I anticipate the applicant was waiting on the Lancaster County comments, and we'll have one more revision come in, wrap it up.
Because at our November meeting, we did take action on the waivers request.
Correct. So I would ask the planning commission approve the plan conditioned on the comments in that letter.
So those comments actually cover comments from the Lancaster County Planning Commission?
Yeah, I didn't see anything in there that was
That was not already in your comments?
correct.
Okay. Discussion, comments?
I think the only thing that hung us up was just the title.
Right.
Okay. So wishes of Planning Commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the plan for 750 South 9th Street, contingent on satisfying the remaining comments in the Borough Engineers November 14th, 2024 letter.
Okay. Do I
I'll
have,
second that.
I have a second from Tiffany. So to state it briefly, approval of the plans for Rivertown Estates, 750 South 9th Street, contingent upon conditions in the engineer's letter of November 14th. being met. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. That was quick tonight, Mr. King. We
Really nice
just
looking
had to
plan.
have the paperwork in order. I'm sorry we couldn't do this last month for you.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for coming back. So when is you going to start breaking ground out there?
As soon as possible. They're saying another 2 to 3 months for utilities and probably around April, May.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Look forward to seeing the project
Yeah, that's very
completed out
nice.
there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us, or are you good?
Oh, no, we're
You're
good.
good.
We're good.
Okay.
Have a
All right.
Sidebar.
Sidebar, okay. Next on our agenda for action items, Brad Lynn and Justin Evans, their terms are up December 31st this year. And I understand that both of them are willing to accept reappointment. And as such, I would like a motion to recommend to council the reappointment of Brad Lynn and Justin Evans for a 4-year term to Columbia Borough Planning Commission. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Nate? Okay, I
That's
have
better.
Nate. And a second from
I'll
Tiff. Any comments?
We appreciate you serving.
Yes, I value both of you.
Should we abstain from voting? There's 4 of you.
Technically.
I'll vote for you.
I'll vote for you.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda here, I know last month we recommended appointment of Deborah Clare to the Planning Commission. It did not happen at the last 2 council meetings. And when we were looking at the appointments and the terms of the different members of Planning Commission, what Alex pointed out is the size of our commission. We may only reappoint 2 people at a time. So if we were to request Deb's appointment for a 4-year term, we would have 3 people in 4 years. We would have the 2 of you plus Deb. So that is why we are requesting that Deb be appointed for a single-year term
For 2025.
for 2025, and then to be reappointed for a 4-year term going out from 2025. Because we looked at when the different appointments are up, and we would not run into that conflict from 2025, which would be 26, 27, 28, 29. So,
Right.
we would be okay.
That makes
there.
Makes sense.
Okay, so that is just kind of a discussion there to bring you up to date on what has happened there. So I'm very hopeful that that happens at the next meeting. And I think the reappointments need to happen prior to the end of the year, because going into next year, if for some reason we would have to meet before council meets,
They're on the agenda.
yeah, I wouldn't have people.
They are on the agenda.
Like, it would have been nice to have Deb tonight, because I was really worrying we were going to have a quorum for this meeting, but everybody made it, and thank you for the heads up, all of you. I appreciate that. Okay, now Derek has something to share with us regarding the McGinnis property and text amendments that are needed to move forward.
So there's been I know there's been a lot of discussion over the last couple of years regarding the zoning in the McGinnis Airport area, and ultimately what the borough wants to see down there. I had a discussion with staff and felt that it was best that we discuss this tonight with Planning Commission, and that Planning Commission, if you so choose to take on this, this objective, requests and receives clear direction from council regarding what the borough is looking for. I can tell you, and Steve will support me here, we're not, I don't believe the borough is in a position right now to take on a full zoning ordinance rewrite, although that is an objective of the comp plan and absolutely something that I'll recommend we look at at some point sooner rather than later. But the biggest issue that we have ahead of us here is the ultimate development of the business park. And my recommendation to the borough is that the best way to handle that would be some text amendments of the current zoning ordinance. Full disclosure, I think what this requires is this requires some conversation, both here at the Planning Commission and at the council level. It's going to take a detailed review of your current zoning regulations, running a couple scenarios. Okay, based on what the zoning is now, this is what you could see, and these are what the lots could look like. Best case, worst case. I think we need to go through that process, and then with feedback from both the Planning Commission and council, determine what, if anything, needs to be changed in the zoning ordinance to make sure that we're protecting that land and that it's developed in a manner that is consistent with what council and really the community is looking for out there. So this could be much to do about nothing, full disclosure. We've kind of thought, we got to look at the zoning ordinance. Well, we've not done anything down there. So my recommendation to the Planning Commission is that you make a request to council to authorize the Planning Commission to proceed with text amendments for the zoning ordinance. I recommend that Planning Commission requests a liaison from council, someone who can speak for council and make sure that there's a guy I know here that's been coming to these meetings. But I think it's important that Planning Commission works in concert with council and that line of communication stays open so that we don't get too far down the pike here and
Yeah, because we would have to know what the overall idea is
exactly.
in order to be able to know what
Exactly.
changes.
So, I mean, at this point, there have been a lot of conceptual plans for out there. There have been a lot of discussions, but to my knowledge, there has been nothing formalized that this is it. This is exactly what we want. So before the Planning Commission just starts that procedure, I think it should be formally requested and authorized by council, and then council can help to better dictate how they want to see that procedure go and potentially establish deadlines, objectives, all that stuff.
What kind of timeline generally are we talking about?
I'm gonna speculate 6 to 9 months.
Oh.
I mean, there is not, the earth moving, the bulk earth moving is slated to start in the spring. So there isn't any plans in the next 6 months to be creating lots. But once we get underway with the earth moving, the goal of the McGuinness Airport team is to shift their focus from the environmental permits and earth moving and demolitions out there and start planning towards what's the future going to look like. So that means a subdivision plan. That means a land development plan. We need to start getting real serious about where exactly are the streets going? What size are the lots going to be? It's at that point that we get very serious with the Economic Development Corp and start talking to potential tenants or suitors or people that might buy the whole thing. Again, lots different ways that this could go. But at this point, we've done a lot of work to get to the earth moving part. What we foresee is, in the next 6 to 9 months is when some very concrete decisions will need to be made about, okay, this is where the street's going. So,
And I think we have to be very strategic because this is our last really big piece of buildable land,
correct.
and that's extremely valuable. We want to make the best use of it.
Is there some sort of a concept that was done in the last few years?
Yep.
Okay,
We have.
so that could be somewhat of a guide.
It can be, yes.
Or-
Yeah.
That's like we weren't
We have
starting
two
from scratch.
conceptual
That
plans that were completed by ELA. One that would support a runway and one that would not, that would be just a further expansion of the business park where the run would be. Again, very conceptual, and I think the biggest thing that the team here will need to understand is exactly what type of businesses are we looking to attract, exactly what type of uses are we looking to attract. That's going to heavily dictate the size of the lots, the layout. So just some more detailed discussion needs to be had, and we need to ensure that the ordinances are set up in a manner to support that.
Okay, one of the things that we have been discussing in our workshop meetings is the future land use map out of the comp plan. Now, one of the things in there is to combine light business, light industrial, and general industrial into an industrial zoning district. So right now, the only light business in the borough is that McGuinness Tract land out there.
Should it stay special area? In just
Well,
off the cuff.
today, yes, but moving into the future, I believe simplifying your zoning ordinance is important and reasonable. But that objective of combining, I think this is where you hit a break point is when you start combining 3 zones into one, that's a heavier lift
Right.
that I would recommend be done as part of a full zoning rewrite. So I think for the purpose, it seems a little bit of an interim activity, but I think you focus on the light business that's out there right now. You tailor that zone to what you want to see with the airport. And then as that zoning ordinance rewrite happens, no matter what stage of development that park is in, we ensure that continuity happens into the next zone.
Who's advising? Is that the council liaison or maybe a couple advising on what sort of uses are desired there? Because we're going to
Correct.
come to a decision point, which is this leaning more towards what's in the general or in light industrial district as concept, or more like what LB allows now? Because that probably dictates whether it's going to stay its own spot,
Correct.
its own particular thing, technology park or something where it's focused less on the impact of big, kind of heavier manufacturing. There's going to be different setbacks and different standards, you don't want to prohibit it or you don't want to make it to where you're wasting space because you're applying those sorts of things to a cleaner type of industry. Right.
Because they're just looking at the table of uses, there's a lot of things that are already permitted out there.
So this exercise exactly is to look at that table of uses and see, is there anything on there we don't like? Anything we're concerned about? Anything we're missing? There are likely uses, there are likely some uses that we could target out there that aren't currently provided for in your ordinance. We can make some of the newer technology-based uses as permitted uses and actually add provisions in. Otherwise, it could be some technological use that could be determined as a use not provided for, which would need to go through a special exception process, and that business is going in there without a lot of guidelines. So,
Yeah.
Like right now, warehousing is not allowed out there.
well, I think we want to keep it that way.
Yeah,
Parking,
right.
parking,
Yeah, Not
Yeah.
great transportation for that. sort of
parking
stuff.
lot is a principal use,
Yeah.
it's not permitted.
And I think we probably want to keep it
Livestock
that way.
raising is a special exception.
What's that?
Livestock raising is a special exception.
There's some livestock out
Yeah.
Expensive
Yeah.
livestock, crazy.
there, goats out there.
There's,
Anyway.
I was looking through.
Yep.
And
That's a good idea.
What I want to ensure happens is that this effort happens in concert with council. So let's at least let council kick this off, give some commentary into maybe some of the main goals that they're looking for, and ultimately allow them to give us some feedback as to what structure they want to see set up. Who's the team that should tackle this? And then what type of check-ins are we going to have? And then once you get that overall, kind of that initial feedback from council, I think then planning commission can dive in, give some recommendations back. And I think it'll be a more productive procedure than just putting our heads down and saying what we want here at planning commission.
Right.
But
without
you
getting-
feel
Without
the
knowing.
letter to council requesting that is the first step
Yes.
from planning.
Yes, my recommendation to staff here is I don't think planning commission should take this on unless directed by council. This is something that's a little bit of, although it's appropriate for the planning commission, this type of activity exceeds what I would consider your kind of daily authorized activity, daily authorized duties.
Where did we get that right there that you had, Mary? Because that's what we've been working from.
This came from Jess.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, because we've
Is
just
she
been
coming
kind of
back?
working from there. What are the challenges and combining them, looking ahead to the issues of what uses are permitted in some areas that aren't permitted in others, and raising some of those flags has been as far as we made it.
Because we had actually here last month and this month in our work session, we were talking downtown mixed use, which
Yeah,
is
sure.
combining a number of them. So with
Gateways.
gateways, so right now that gets put on the back burner.
And that's maybe something else to request direction from council. From my seat and in talking with staff, I think McGinnis is the most
Oh,
important
yes.
thing. So
Yes.
that's the piece we should tackle and not let that be bogged down by items that I would consider part of a larger zoning rewrite. Not that those discussions were wasted or bad, but they're part of a bigger effort.
I
that
mean, we've
could
only been working
potentially-
on rewriting the zoning ordinance for about 7 years.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Really?
another 9 months.
Yeah. real bright light at the end of the tunnel, right,
Yeah.
Justin?
Yeah, but no, I mean,
But
we
it-
did talk a little bit about priority and what
Right.
council, because short-term rentals was
Right.
another priority that was
Correct.
thrown in. So it's basically, whatever they need to move up in terms of,
Right.
having
We
us
would need
look at,
guidance on priority.
we're open to it.
And that is very pressing, but Marilyn was filling me in on your work session with discussing down along Third Street.
Right.
So that area should be discussed too, I think, because you may want
Gateway.
to make adjustments there
Yep.
with
Right.
it being the gateway and a large lot.
So is this a letter, Derek, that you would draft, staff would draft, I would sign?
I can prepare it. Steve, if you want,
But
it doesn't
I
matter.
can, yeah, I can prepare something for you, Mayor.
Do we want to do this for Monday night? Council will be meeting Monday night instead of Tuesday because of their meeting would be on Christmas Eve.
So.
Because the next thing,
Work session. So it's a regular meeting for council. Yeah, that's gonna be pushing it, I think.
I mean,
We can wait till-
it's,
Well,
it's not that they would have to act on it right
Right.
away. At
That's the
least
thing,
it's,
if they would act
out there
on it
to
on
have
their, what, January 14th would be the first regular meeting?
Right.
That would still be ahead of your next meeting on the 21st
Right.
of January.
Right.
So I think if council would take that up on the 14th, it wouldn't impact
I
you too
can do
much,
that.
right?
okay,
I don't know if you're gonna have, I don't know if you're going to have enough direction to dive into it in January. It's probably gonna be
No.
more of a February thing until council
right.
understands this request, collects their thoughts and starts.
Yeah, they'll only receive it then.
Right.
Yeah, we can keep looking at those two hot spots that we talked about, the downtown and the gateways in terms of trying to reconcile some of the land
Right.
uses. We'll just keep talking about that until council has it worked out.
Very good.
All right. Anything else for us on that hearing? Does that
Nope.
cover it? Okay. On the agenda here, just to give you a heads up that in May, our meeting will be on Wednesday, not Tuesday, because of election. And the other thing is with Senator Almond resigning, there will be a special election and it could impact one of our meeting dates, the beginning of the year. So just heads up on that.
Did we get the new calendar?
No,
I
it,
don't think so.
that will only be advertised after this coming,
Correct.
after the 23rd.
Correct.
Yeah, they will be approving that at their meeting. Council will approve that on the 23rd of their meeting. The next item is just a heads up that there will be a demolition application in January on the property at 1310 Lancaster Avenue. That's out there between the car lots, across from, what is it, ASC now, used to be Annville,
Yeah.
ASC across from there.
Just in the mix of car lots out
Yeah,
there, so it's,
Just extending it, so. Okay, next on our agenda here, we have updated plans, updated preliminary final development plans for the chip factory. And
Okay, we should note, I'm looking at the agenda that's currently posted online and it does not have this item on it.
Tenny.
there is a revised agenda online.
It's not online, I'm on it right now.
It's online.
It's
I
online?
pulled it up. There are two agendas for tonight, one revised. There are,
I see,
there
you're
are
down here.
3 agendas.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
My apologies,
workshop.
I just wanted to make sure. Sorry. Please proceed.
wow.
It's the regular,
Call.
it's the regular, the workshop, and
And
the
then the
revised is
revised,
under the
yeah, the
workshop.
revised is
The
third in
actual
line,
agenda.
yeah.
So what are the highlighted yellow areas? Were
Those
those
are
changes
the
made by
Don't
ELA?
laugh, I sat at my kitchen table yesterday with,
And you left it all on?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, those were changes made by ELA, okay.
yes, anything that's in yellow was a change. And a number of these things on the front page, I think were simply change of ownership there on most of those.
yes, I know.
Yeah, I was going kind of a little crazy till I read through some of these.
And where are you comfortable with the level of changes that, we kind of leave it in your
Yeah,
hands to deal with what's the back and forth?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. I can highlight would
I
it be
think
helpful if I highlight the main things we
I
spoke
think
with?
some of it is that like, they no longer have the parking in back of Ace Printing. Any parking that was in back of there is now moved in back of the old Franklin House.
Correct,
Down where the bicycle are.
correct,
And the
because,
bicycle place is, they've moved the trash dumpsters from right off of Avenue H
Hmm. Put 'em in
over in back of the properties on Walnut Street. One of the most visible changes, and we had this discussion after our last meeting, was the addition of the ramp there on the Locust Street side. And they've actually given us an enlargement of that proposed ramp area into the restaurant area.
So this was the largest change, at
Change
least
was
that's
the-
what we saw. So I asked them to give us a detail of it. I mean, it's a requirement for them to have it, so it's, that's kind of not in question. That just was a change that wasn't there on the original ones. But it's just the ADA ramp. Derek made sure that dimensions, I don't know if you looked at the drawing, Derek, but he pointed out what the dimensions needed to be, making sure that we covered all that.
So there's no right-of-way issues or anything like that?
no, you have a section in your sidewalk ordinance that actually gives guidelines for projections. It's, if it's anything, I think if it's anything greater than 10 feet, or that it's, I think it's 8 feet. The sidewalk is wider than 8 feet, the projection can be 4.5 feet max. If it's anything less than 4 feet, the projection can only be half of the width of the sidewalk. So really, there's no regulation on the length of the projection, it's how far it sticks out of the building.
Into-
So they were going to ensure that this was not any greater than 4.5. That was our discussion
Yeah,
last
it
week.
looks like 4 on this drawing.
Yeah,
Right.
they are going to need to, and they will be attending the shade tree meeting in January,
Yeah,
because there will be some trees coming down and they need to negotiate how that all is going to happen. I don't think that's anything that's going to change the plan that this commission has already approved, but yeah, you hit the highlights, Mary. It's the ramp in front. We had some discussion about the loading plaza
right.
off of Second. That design actually, we came up with that. We came up with that at the table in there on
Correct.
last week. I was concerned, the original design showed the plaza projecting into Second Street a little bit in the parking lane. I wanted to make sure we preserved a borough street of consistent material from curb to curb.
Right.
And this design allows them to make a drop-off area and allow it to be ADA compliant to get luggage and everything else in to the building. So I'm good with their proposed entrance design. That's a little bit different than the plan you would have approved.
Mhm.
You noted the dumpster and the generator pad, and again,
Yeah,
probably the most,
That's a change back there
it is.
on that sheet 80, that area where they're saying the electrical, mechanical.
Yep.
And they've actually made that area wider.
They have.
That was 25 foot. See, I told you.
Yeah.
I like
No,
your
we-
stickies.
We discussed that, and in addition to the additional space that they needed for the generator, which of course, that was unveiled as the building plan started to be pulled
Okay.
together,
Mm.
But when you're in the land development phase, you don't think about that stuff
Right.
as much.
The
Yeah.
general contractor does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no shade
exactly,
towards
yeah.
any of the designers on this. That's something commonly that you don't think about. So as the building plans came together, it became clear that they needed that. There was also a little bit of a grading issue there. They needed to
Mhm.
give a little bit more space to get the water out. And again, you picked up on the employee parking area. That's a positive change, I
That should be
think,
That
nice.
is.
for the
That
plan.
is.
And it actually gives you a surplus now. I think you
Yes, it
one
does.
one space surplus.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
That's
So
uncommon.
we,
It's uncommon in
Yep.
Columbia.
Yeah.
exactly. So the employee lot is now closer to the hotel and the total parking count is one more. And it's nice to see the spaces, personally, I like to see the spaces aren't being leased anymore, they're owned.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, he
really
owns that back there.
Control.
alleviates some messiness from
Yeah.
needing a parking agreement and
Right.
all that other fun stuff, so.
What is the retaining, and I didn't
Yeah,
notice
what's
this
the
before,
retaining wall?
in the parking lot? Cast in place concrete retaining wall. It's not a grade issue, is it?
What sheet are you on there?
Okay, if you're on 8,
I'm on page 18 where they actually have the. Yeah, where is this retaining wall?
well, it's here. It's in the parking lot. I didn't, I guess it's just the barrier. It doesn't seem to be much grade.
I see, casting place concrete retaining wall. That retaining wall is running, yeah, that's running along the backside of the sidewalk,
Oh, okay.
in between the Hilliard building.
There's a sidewalk.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking to the north of Avenue H. Yep, I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's one in between the parking
Yeah,
spaces.
let me jump down to the grading plan and be able to tell you.
Yeah, there's actually two places where there's retaining walls. There's one going into the parking lot off of Avenue H to the north there. And then there's the one coming south into the back of the side of the Hilliard building. Okay, that answered that question.
What is it?
That answered that question. I have a question.
Oh, over there. Is it a stormwater thing?
No, it's for the generator.
No, I meant up here.
No,
Was it?
yeah, it is a stormwater.
Okay. Because the rest sheet flows into the,
Yeah, see where that inlet is, Justin?
Yeah.
It's pushing all the water up towards that inlet.
Got
Okay.
So
that way it's not coming all across the parking lot.
correct. They're calling it I see they have it labeled as cast in place retaining wall.
Yeah.
It's a curb.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
All right, that makes a little more sense. Thanks, Derek.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are they going to be putting a traffic light at that corner? No, it's going to continue to be a stop sign?
Yeah, and I saw the trees are disappearing. So they will be coming to a shade tree.
Yep.
Because I saw the only trees are back in the parking lot.
Maybe on top of the building.
Oh, no,
Something.
Fine.
But
yeah. Big pots
we'll let
full,
them get creative
full
with
of
that.
plants, yeah. Derek, what is that stair to?
Where the generator is.
No, there's. It's almost like it goes down to, next to where they're going to have their work area in that house. Oh, come on. Okay, on sheet 8.
Okay.
There is a stair A, and it's up above Avenue H, right off of Second Street.
Hmm.
What is that about? You know, it kind of looks like where the old firehouse was.
Yeah, so what that is, see how they have a paved patio area noted?
Right,
So assuming that paved patio area, I can look at the grading plan, but I imagine that paved patio area is gonna be flat. So Avenue H, think about the grade.
right,
Avenue
there's
H
a
is,
grade there.
Avenue H is falling down towards
Yeah.
the river. You're gonna have
Yeah.
a flat pad There's gonna be
Okay.
a grade break between those parking spaces and the rear of that.
Okay,
Notice see how it says retaining wall?
yeah.
That's a retaining wall.
That's a retaining wall
Okay.
there on the
Okay.
front of those spaces all around, and you see it breaks, and there's a little L in there, and that's where the stairs are.
And then there's a stair B up there.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
So those are going
That'll take you
down
even, yep,
from the
okay.
patio.
All right, that answers that one.
got it.
I had a little,
I know, it's great.
okay. And then you said they're going to Shade Tree?
Yes.
Yeah, because the only trees I saw were 3 of them back in the parking lot.
So is this ready? Ready to be approved?
Well, it's already approved.
Yeah,
So
we did.
this was conditionally approved by the planning commission back in 2020.
Oh,
September.
yeah, I did see that on the modifications.
2020.
Yeah, so what staff discussed with the developer was, I mean, we reviewed the plan, and yes, there are some, I don't know if I don't want to use the significant, but there are some notable changes
Right,
from what you approved to what it is now. Question from the developer is, do I need to come back to the planning commission and get this reapproved? From my seat, there aren't any changes here that I would say, oh my gosh, yes, it absolutely has to come back. So this is on the agenda tonight as an open discussion. Is planning commission comfortable with the plan they approved and the plan they see tonight? Or would you like to see the applicant back making a presentation? If you have any unanswered questions, if everyone here is comfortable with the plan as it is, I don't believe there's any further action that needs to be taken.
Do you think the recorder of deeds will give them a hard time about recording it with an approval? Like, can we confirm the approval?
They won't, because the recorder of deeds will only be concerned about the date of the signatures.
Gotcha.
So as long as the conditional approval is still valid, you are welcome to move and reapprove the plan tonight. You can do that. And if, again, there's any issues, it can be back in January as well, because you'll have a meeting in January before they go to Shade Tree.
mhm.
But in my experience, the conditional approval is still valid, and they just need to meet the outstanding conditions, the posting, the security, Shade Tree approval. They really didn't have a lot. So once they meet the conditions at staff level,
Right.
we can say, hey, this is good to go, and that's when the plan would be circulated for signatures. So as long as you sign it currently, you're good.
Okay.
How do you, let me ask a question. Mary, are you the only one that signs, or does everyone from the planning commission sign?
Myself and Brad.
Okay. So since you and Brad were both on the planning commission back then, that would be my only hiccup,
Oh, yeah.
because I
Mhm.
wouldn't want anybody who wasn't on the planning commission in 2020 signing it. So you were both on the PC then. That's an issue.
So, since this is on as a discussion item, can we approve it as an action item?
I don't see why you couldn't approve it as an action item. I mean, it was a discussion at first, but it's been
Right.
advertised.
And I just feel like, for the record, it would be best to have
Sure.
that vote, to have that motion,
Cleans it up.
and to have that vote. Go for it.
Me? Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, so what are we saying? We're approved the revised, it's not a revised plan, it's the same plan. It's
The
just had
updated
revisions
preliminary.
made to it. So,
How would you word it
yeah,
to?
I would call it a reapproval.
reapprove?
Motion
To reapprove.
Motion to reapprove plan conditioned on the outstanding C.S. Davidson comments.
That's it.
okay, so moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion to Motion from Justin, second by Tiff. Any further comments, concerns?
That looks great.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay,
Exciting.
my chip factory just keeps getting,
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Murphy was in, Don Murphy was in last time because he was going to pull a demolition permit. Was that what
yes.
the last time he was in here for?
Yes. Yeah, that was the demo.
I've been in contact with him throughout this as well. So I spoke to him yesterday, I spoke to him today, so.
Okay. Anything further? We have no old business, no new business. Our next meeting will be January 21st, 2025 at 7. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Tiff, I have a second.
Second.
Justin, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all, and to all,
you very
Merry
much.
Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everybody.